All right, episode 1 with the Motivational Cowboy, me, Johnny D. I got Sonja Crosby in the house, a great friend of mine for now 10 years. Sonja, can you believe that? When you came over today, I was like, Sonja, it has been 10 years since we met.
I know. And I'm still 22, though.
Yeah, I felt 22 until I got out of bed this morning. Then it was like, oh boy, man, late 40s.
I know. It's like, it depends on the day you ask me. That's how old I am.
It's like yesterday I ran 6 miles and I get up this morning and my feet hurt. I was like, what the heck is going on?
Man, I'm not running 6 miles if somebody is chasing me with a gun.
Somebody told me the other day, they're like, yeah, I ran this morning. I said, oh yeah, where'd you, how far'd you run? They said, I ran to the donut shop and back.
Oh, that's right. That's my kind of people right there.
Sonja, man, this is my very first episode of Outstanding Life podcast. And when I thought about all the people that I could have on my very first podcast, I thought of you because when I met you 10 years ago, I'll never forget the day that you walked up to me and you said, I want to be a speaker.
Yeah.
Do you remember that day?
Yeah, it was crazy.
And I said, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Everybody does. Everybody thinks it's easy. Everybody wants to do it, but nobody actually wants to put the time into it.
Right.
And I said, when you're serious, here's my phone number. Call me.
Yeah.
And it took you a little while.
It did.
But you called me.
Yeah, and the reason I didn't call you right away was because so many people say, yeah, I can help you out with that. And then you go and you call them and they're like, they never return your call.
Like, who is this?
Yeah, it's like, oh, did I say I was going to help you? Oh, well, when I get a minute and then the minute never comes.
Right.
So when I did call you, I was like, I still want to do this, but I had no clue. I mean, none whatsoever. And I had been scouring the internet and I had read a couple of books and I was still nowhere. And I called you. I'm like, okay, I really want to do this, John, but I don't even know where to start. And you were so gracious, but you were funny because you told me, you said, listen,
I gave you homework.
Yeah, you said, I'm going to give you a couple of things to do. If you don't get them done, then don't call me back.
That's exactly what I said to you, too.
Yes,
That's exactly what I said. That's
but
awesome.
I got my homework done.
You did. A couple weeks later, it was like 1, 2, and 3. It was done. I was like, holy cow, she's serious.
Yep.
This girl's serious.
Yep, I was serious because I had gotten to the point where I knew I wanted to do something that used my performance skills because I'd been acting for a really long time before that. But I needed something that was not about developing a character. I wanted to use some of my experiences to kind of help people.
Right.
And when you asked me what I wanted to talk about, I was like, well, I had a really bad accident years ago, and it took me some struggles to get through, but I got through, and I kind of want to help people get through, challenges and obstacles and adversity and all that, all those buzzwords, whatever. And, you're like, well, you need to develop a topic. I'm like, okay. Well, let me get back with you.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well, let me stop you right there because before we even get into that, I just thought about this. And before your accident, before all those things, you were taught by some of the best in our country. And that is our military. You served in our military. I'm getting goosebumps right now, and it's so cool. So I want to thank you for serving, in the Army, right?
Yes, it was some of the best years of my life, truly.
Now you really mean that?
Yes,
because some people either they're like, oh, this was great, and or they're like, oh boy, this really stunk. But I learned a lot.
Yeah, well, no, because I served in peacetime, and I would probably have a different perspective had I gone to war.
Right.
But I learned some really good things, not only occupational wise, but just about myself.
Right.
And about what I could do. Cause I was like a Private Benjamin.
Right. Yeah.
And it really taught me a lot about what I could do and how well I could do it.
Right.
So yeah, I love it.
So what did you do in the Army?
I was a military intelligence sergeant, and people.
So wait, can you tell me secrets?
No.
Oh,
well,
man.
I could, but then I had to kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you could do that too.
Well, yes, I can.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you again for serving, in our Army, and that's pretty
pleasure.
awesome.
My
And
pleasure.
so let's get back to me giving you that homework, and I remember this. I'll never forget these times, and that's why it was so passionate about me having you on the show first. And that is, you had to come up with. I said you need to come up with a title, and a tagline,
Yeah.
And that's one of the hardest things. Like, people think, oh, you just talk, you make it look so easy.
Right.
Well, you get up in front of 10 or 20,000 people and you make it look good. There is no band.
Yeah.
There's no backup singer. It is you and a microphone, and you better be good.
Yeah. And when I saw you, I mean, I was so excited because you were so energetic and the audience was so engaged. And I was like, look at that. Oh, man. I mean, he is handling his business. And it was really like, oh, my God. Now, okay, I don't think I'm going to be that good. But at least I would love to see if I can do this.
Right.
And I know, you said it would take a while to build the business. And, everybody says, oh, it's not going to take that long for me. And then it has taken
No, I was real with you. I mean, it takes a couple of years to be good.
Yes.
And to hone your arts, because you have to go through the failures in life so you can talk about them.
Yes.
So let's get back to, what do you talk about? I know, but tell everybody what you finally called me back and you said, I got it.
Yes.
I said, okay, yeah, sure.
Yes.
It's going to take 2 or 3 times, but you didn't. You knew right away.
I did. Well, you know what? I prayed about it because I knew that God had given me this story to share, and I needed to have a topic that kind of reached everywhere.
Yeah.
And I talk about the power of positive perseverance. And when we talk about perseverance, we just mean, just continuing through the rough spots and just keep going. Don't give up.
Everyday stuff.
Everyday stuff.
Exactly. And that's what's so good about what you talk about is the average person. You don't have to be making $1 million to understand what you're talking about.
That's exactly it.
And me and you do so much speaking together, even these days, to crowds that just get our message, and it's so fun. And what they don't get from me, they get from you, and vice versa.
I know. And it's so cool because we offer that diversity to people where you are just so energetic and you are so up there and you're bringing people up. But it's like, and then I go, and then you know what happened? Well, I had to do such and such and so, but I kept going.
That's right.
And there was a light at the end of the tunnel, and it was not a moving train coming toward me.
That's right. Exactly. So you had so many great stories.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to say great.
Yeah.
Because some of them were tragic.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about one of the stories that I think it really humbles somebody. Mm. And I guess it kind of humbled you as well. I mean, you know what I mean? Because it's like, you're on that high of life, and like nothing could be better.
Yeah.
And then something happens. What happened with you and your late husband?
Well, we were married for 19 months. And he was amazing. He had a smile that could melt butter, honest to God.
What did he do?
He was a state trooper, Michigan State Trooper.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. He looked so good in that uniform.
So is that true that women like men in uniform?
Oh yeah.
Okay, well then you know what? I'm gonna turn in my cowboy hat for a uniform. Then I'm gonna come out as a fireman or a police officer.
I don't know, man. That can help a lot. We might have to change a few things for you, but
well, then again, I think Texas, their state troopers wear cowboy hats.
Well,
I think
I was gonna say that the cowboy thing is working for you, babe.
That's right. Just leave it. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to change it.
Okay, so it is true that women do like men in uniform.
Well, I can't speak for all women, but this woman,
for you,
oh yeah.
So what was his name?
His name was Anthony Crosby. We called him Tony. Yep.
So Tony was a state trooper.
Yep. And we actually knew each other a long time before we even thought about dating. Mm-hmm. And he was I think it was like a year younger than me. And back when you're really young, that's like really young. You're like, young blood, you need to get out of here, And I met him at a party, and we both left for the service about the same time. I think he left a year after me. And then we saw each other again when we were both serving on Fort Lewis, Washington. And we were kind of, hey, how you doing? I know you're from Detroit, right? Yeah. And then he left and deployed to Egypt, and I came home. And we saw each other. We were at a concert with friends. He was there with a date and I was there with friends. And you know how they say in the movies, we looked across and there was like, oh, hey, how you doing? And you know, it was like, oh, wow. And then he called my girlfriend and he was like, look, I need to talk to her. She's like, yeah. I'll get her your number. She wants to call you. She'll call you. And
Right.
He kept calling her. He's like, look, Becker, call me. And I talked to him and he says, I want to sweep you off your feet. And I was like, man.
I thought he was dating somebody.
He was at the concert with somebody.
Okay.
I don't know if that was a date or not. But
yeah,
he called me.
I just want to make sure that I understand where the story is going here. Okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I want to. So he said that. He said that
Yeah.
to you. He said, I want to sweep you off your feet.
He did. And I told him
And did he?
He did. He did. And I was so jaded. I mean, I was like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah, that's the best pickup line in the world.
Oh, yeah. But, you know, I wasn't even buying it. And I was like, dude, you need to try decaf because this ain't working for me. And we had our first date. And honest to God, he swept me right off my feet. And it was so amazing because
Was it love at first sight then at that point? No?
I wouldn't say it was love at first sight. I think just being around him and he wooed me. I mean, it was impressive because, you know, by that point, I never really been wooed before. It was kind of like, hey, how you doing? We're hanging out. We're going, you know, we'll go get dinner, whatever. I wasn't really a romantic person. I just never was.
Yeah.
And we went out and a couple times, and then he was stationed a couple of hours away in Paw Paw at the time. So we talked on the phone a lot. So we really got to know each other on the phone. I mean, we didn't sleep much because we were always on the phone.
Right.
And
these days it's the internet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, we saw each other probably every other weekend. And really, it was like, wow, this is something. And so we got married shortly after. We got married in May. And I think we started dating in the previous September, maybe.
So you got married while you're in the military?
No.
Okay,
no.
so you were out by then.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
Yeah, we were out.
Okay.
We were out by then.
And he was working? He was a state trooper here in Michigan?
He was working as a state trooper, and I was a secretary or something. I don't know. But yeah, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
And I was doing some acting, and he says, well, why don't you go on and do it full time? And I was like, what? Oh, okay. You know, because my mom always taught me, you got to be independent. You got to have your own. You got to do your own.
Yep.
So I'm figuring I'm working and I'm doing my little acting stuff and I'm okay. And he's like, yeah, well, you know, you got a husband now. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I can do that.
Yeah.
You know, and then I quit my job and started doing acting full time and was very successful at it. And then unfortunately, our 19 months was all we got. And we were in a really bad car accident. And I lost him. He was gone. We were just we were going out on a date night, and we were going to the movies. And it was just before Christmas, about 5 days before Christmas of 95, I believe. And out of nowhere, a car just thought they could beat us through the light and careened into his side, and he suffered from brainstem swelling that was irreversible. And I broke my neck, my back, my right leg in 2 places, and my right collarbone. And he died the next day. They tried to revive him, but he didn't come back. And so from there, it was just trying to heal me and trying to take care of me.
Mentally and physically.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And his family, oh my God, they were so great. You know, they were grieving their loss, but they were right there for me. And it was atrocious. I was like, okay, I'm done too. Why?
Yeah.
You know, I was so mad. I was like, okay, you give me this amazing man, and what happened? You know, he's gone now.
Right.
And so I had to deal with that, and I had to deal with just, you know, my own physical and mental recuperation. And that was not easy. And it just took a long time for me to first physically heal, because the physical came quickly, not quickly, but quicker than the mental. And, all of the guilt and all of the anger and all of the, black days when I just I don't want to be here. And I never thought about taking my own life, but I was really pissed that God didn't take it. I was just mad. Yeah. Why'd you leave me here?
So let me ask you this. They say that in times like that, there are positive people in your life that you don't realize it till after you get through it, that how positive these people were.
Yeah.
Who was it for you that kept you going in those dark places that you were at?
Man, let me tell you, my parents were amazing. And my mom can do anything. I mean, she would get me in that wheelchair, and she would, when it was okay for me to go out, she would lift that wheelchair into the van and, come on, we're getting out. You're going to get some air. I'm like, nah, I don't want to go anywhere. Come on, you're going.
Yeah.
And just all of it. I mean, from the tenderest giving me a bath with all this iron wrapped around me.
Yeah.
And
what was that device called? That 'cause I saw pictures and I don't know what that thing is, but it looked like you were like in some kind of weird movie or something.
I know, right? I felt like it too. Yeah, it was called a halo.
Okay.
And I had 4 screws drilled into my skull, 2 in my forehead and 2 in the back, so that it held my neck bones together so they could fuse and heal properly.
I have known you for 10 years, and I'm looking at you right now across the table here. Is that what the scar's from?
Yeah.
I can't see this one, but okay. For the first time in 10 years, I've actually looking at you going, wow, I do see that now.
Yeah, well, I'm so self-conscious because I think people are staring at them all the time.
Yeah, no,
and even on my my knees, and I've got a big scar on my thigh, and for a really long time I wouldn't wear shorts or dresses because I didn't want to have to explain it. And now I'm like, this is a badge of honor. Ask me. You want to know? I'll tell you.
So was there a turning point for you that you remember that everybody was trying to have you see the positive in your life, that you were still here? Yeah. Was there a turning point that you finally said, you know what, I can't fight this anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and look at it a different way?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it really came from my 2 nieces.
Really?
My sister and her husband lived in a small house in Detroit, and my sister actually took care of me in my convalescent. They brought the hospital bed in, the porta potty.
So your sister, her husband, and her 2 kids.
And her 2 kids. And this is a small house, mind you, okay?
Basically moved you right into their house.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm painting this picture here of the small little house, and they literally brought in the hospital bed for you.
Yes, and the girls were so gracious.
How old were they back then?
Gosh, I think the youngest one had to be maybe 6.
And they were your inspiration.
Oh my God, yeah.
So if you're listening right now, it doesn't matter. That's where I tell people, I go, you can get inspiration from the youngest to the oldest people and everywhere in between.
Man.
Inspiration comes from every walk of life, every age.
I'm telling you, every day they would come in from school and they would sit in the room with me and they would kiss me on my forehead and they would eat dinner with me and tell me about their day. And all this time, I thought I looked like a monster.
Right.
And I was afraid that I was going to scare my babies. Mm-hmm. And you talk about just... that was the biggest thing on my mind was, oh my God, I don't want them to be afraid of me.
Yeah.
And they would come in and they would just kiss me and say, hi, auntie. And they would come and sit. And man, you talk about just renewed spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, just really allowing myself to say, yeah, I do have something to look forward to. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Because at first I wasn't even praying. I was mad. I was mad. I was crying and I was screaming and I was just mad at God. And
bitter,
I
right?
would tell him I was mad and blah, blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it was like this voice. And, when people say, God, talk to me, you don't hear him in your ears. I mean, I don't hear him in my ears. You hear him in your gut. Mm-hmm. And he says, well, at least you're still talking to me. And I was like, no, he didn't.
So now at this point, you're arguing with God now.
Exactly. And I had to bust out laughing because I couldn't believe that I just heard this.
Yeah, yeah.
And from then on, I was like, oh, we being real. Okay, then I'm going to keep talking to you then.
Yeah, yeah.
And as I did, he really started bringing light and really good inspiration and people who love me and bringing me in. And all of a sudden, all of that dark, crusty shell just kind of started falling away. I'm not going to say it melted because I still had some, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
As a matter of fact, I probably still have some depending on who you ask.
Well, but that still some is the reason why you're such a great speaker these days. And you share a little bit of that every time you take the stage. And that's where it's you keep it real, girl.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? And you still need that passion inside and that hurt to be able to tell a great story.
Yeah. It's
so don't ever lose it.
Well, I don't think I will.
So you get through that. Mm-hmm. Did you keep acting?
It took me a long time to get back to it because I was in a wheelchair for a year and a half. So I slowly got back into it, and some clients that had hired me before said, okay, are you ready? Yeah, let's see if you can do it.
Yeah.
And I got back to it, and I was, kind of slowly but surely back into it. And that was another thing that brought me joy. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, I'm back.
Because you're good at it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I've been very fortunate in being in a lot of the productions in the state.
Yeah, because I mean that's the one good thing about. I mean, you do a lot of not even just commercials. You do more of the business videos, and you're good because even my daughter. I've never going through, school and going through grad school and getting her first job. And she had to watch you do the videos. And she's like, wait, Dad, does she have a master's degree like me? And I'm like, no. But she's doing the video for you.
Exactly.
So you do, what do they call that? Commercial video?
They call them corporate educational films.
Okay, there you
videos.
go. See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And really, that's been like my bread and butter for the longest time.
Yeah.
And being able to convey an idea or train someone as to how to do their job. And it's funny as all get out because I had a client who wanted my subject matter expert certifications. They were like, we need to have those on file so that, when somebody asks us, blah, blah, blah. And my director's like, well, let me ask her. And I'm like, what are you asking me for? I'm just reading a script.
Right,
he said, oh, yeah, let me go tell them. They didn't believe it.
No
They
kidding.
could not believe it. They were like, no, she knows what she's talking about because, I said, I'm reading the teleprompter, y'all.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Some people, they always have great stories about failure.
Yeah.
And I have a couple myself of, mine was speaking, but you did a lot of these films. Mm-hmm. Do you remember a time that somebody asked you to come do something and you were so excited and you completely thought you bombed it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm putting you on like right on the spot right now, but we all have those times. And if you would have told me, no, I don't have those, I would say you're lying.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm going to end the show right now because you're flipping lying to me. We've all failed. Can you tell us one of those times that you got asked to do something? And I don't know if it was a presentation. Maybe it was one of these films.
No, it was an audition.
Okay.
I will never forget it for as long as I live. Okay, so here it is. In these corporate educational films, you are talking about either a vehicle or a product. And you're walking around that vehicle or product and you're demonstrating what these things are. So back in these times, I was using what's called an ear prompter, and it's kind of an earpiece that's connected to a cassette recorder, and the script is on a cassette recorder.
Okay.
So not only
you just made me old because I remember.
I know, right?
I remember tapes. And those of you that are a little bit younger, that's how we used to listen to CDs, and now you download.
Yes, babies, that is so true. I know. I feel old right now.
Sorry, Sonja, go ahead. But that was funny. You said tape, and I'm like, wait a second.
I know. Yeah,
just
those
made me feel old again.
I know, little bitty micro tapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you had to plug it in, and then there's a technique that you use to deliver the speech. And so I practiced and I got there to the audition and This was a father and son duo that was doing a ton of work in town, and I really liked them a lot. And so they, they got me there, and I'm good. I got my script ready, and I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling good. Okay. So I start my script and I start my little walk around, and I'm reading, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great. This is solid. Yeah, So I get to the point where I'm almost at the end, and I've got to step up on the bumper of this cargo van and show them the luggage rack up top, right? So I get around there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm almost finished. This is good. I step up on the bumper of the cargo van, and I feel something yank and crash. And I heard something, and I looked down, and I was like, that's my cassette recorder. And then I feel something up around my neck, because with the cassette recorder having fallen to the ground, now the transmitter loop is up over my neck. Like it's going to choke me, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, shh. I was quiet, and I swear it seemed like it was 10 minutes that passed, but it really wasn't, right? Yeah. So I start flop sweating, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But I realized in an instant that I was at the end, and I knew what I was supposed to say, whether it was in my ear or not.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get up there, I finish it, and then I stop, and, and the director yells, cut. I reach down and pick up the multiple pieces of my cassette recorder, pull down this transmitter loop from my neck. And I said, thank you. And I ran. I'm telling you, I ran out the door. Yeah. I got in the car, and I was like, oh, that was terrible. I didn't believe I did that. And I'm screaming and I'm hollering, and I'm like, oh, crap. So I said, you know what? I'm chalking this up to the worst audition ever. Right. I got to go to work now. And about a week later, my agent called me, and she says, hey, I can book you on that such and such job for the, father and son. And I was like, bull, bleep, bleep, bleep. And she said, what? I said, girl, I told you I bombed that audition. I called you that day and told you how bad I was. You better call him back.
Right.
And she's like, Sonja, no. I said, because at that time we had 3 Sonjas in the business. And sometimes they would get us mixed up. And I said, no, you need to call them back. Make sure that you confirm that it is Sonja Crosby they want. She called me back. She was laughing her butt off. She said, Sonja, it's you they want. So I was like, cool. All right. Yeah. Now, ordinarily, you get booked for one job, one corporate film, and I'm grateful for it. I'm happy because it's a good day rate, and it's great fun for me. I love the work. But this one, what I came to find out, was going to be shot on location in Malibu, California.
Oh, nice.
I was like, what? And it's how many? It's not one, it's 14. It was 14 videos. So you talk about, I was doing a happy dance all over the place, okay?
So you literally thought you bombed it and then got 14 days out of it.
Right. It was the best job I've ever had in my whole life. And these guys were amazing. And I'm telling you, I got to the airport still when we were going to Malibu. I said, okay, I told my ride, don't leave just yet, because I know these fools, when they see my face, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, it wasn't you. I get there and I'm like, now y'all know I messed that up. And the guy said, you know what, Sonja, you messed it up, but you kept going. He said, that's what we're going to need. When you mess up, you can't be wallowing in that failure. You just got to get up and do it again. That's what video's about.
So when you came up with your tagline and your title, did you think about these stories that you just told us?
Oh, I have. Absolutely.
Because I'm just looking at my notes right now, and I'm like, oh my God, like this so fits into everything that you talk about today.
Oh yeah. And for me, I want people to understand that, you're going to go through stuff. You're always going to go through stuff. But my dad always tells me, life is about how you perceive it.
Right.
So what, you made a mistake. So what, you failed. But are you just going to give up, or are you going to keep trying?
Yeah.
And I read a book. I can't even remember the guy's name who wrote it, but his name is, but the name of the book was Failing Forward.
Okay.
I listened to that book on tape for at least 5 times when I was going through stuff because, it's like, it's okay to fail. You're going to learn from your failure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then I read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, the unabridged version. And it was talking about, taking that failure and channeling it into something else and, learning what you were supposed to learn from that situation and use it in the next thing that you're doing. And man, I mean, every day, when you talk about just getting through life and every day, I'm a 50-something person with a 7-year-old daughter.
Well, I was just going to get into that story too, because so now life is going great for you. You're speaking, you're doing this, you're doing that. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call one day and your life changes again.
Yeah.
And before I even get there, I want to let everybody know that you did remarry.
I did.
And let's talk about that because then I wanted to talk about this next step.
Phase.
Yeah, the next phase is even crazier.
Yeah.
So you did get remarried. You fell in love again.
Mm-hmm.
But this time it was different too because you married your best friend.
Yeah. I married a really good friend. And,
so what happened there? Because it was totally the opposite.
Oh yeah.
Of how your last one worked out.
Oh yeah. It's so funny because he and I had been friends for many years, and then he moved away to Chicago for a job. Uh-huh. And we would just hang out and have fun, get a bottle of wine, have a good dinner, and just chew the fat, more or less. Right. And when he heard about the accident, he was also moving back to Detroit, and we just kind of picked up where we left off, and we were hanging out. And after a while, he was saying, I'm so sick of dating these crazy women and women with, 9 and 10 kids. And, he's like, I can't do this. And we looked at each other and we were like, yeah, how come we can't find somebody like, you? And we kind of looked at each other like, yeah, you know stuff I wouldn't tell nobody I was dating.
Right,
that courtship stuff completely gone.
Right, yeah.
But we made each other laugh and we were good company for each other. And at that point, really, that was all I could do. To be honest, I wasn't that I wasn't a romantic to begin with, but then when Tony left, I was like, yeah, that's gone now.
Right.
But I had a genuine love for Mark, and he accepted me for everything I was, and everything I wasn't. I was broken. I was, I had scars, and I had mental scars and physical scars.
I was just going to say mental and physical.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, really? You me?
Yeah.
I don't know. And he says, no, yeah. And so we said, well, okay, let's date for a year and see how we're doing. And at the end of the year, we'll
reevaluate.
Exactly. It was more of a corporate merger.
I love it.
But, it was good for us. And so a year later, we decided to get married, and we did.
Wait a second. So I just want to stop you right there because I've known you for 10 years. Mm-hmm. Did you guys have a meeting about this? Did you come with a spreadsheet? Did you talk over this with a wine and dinner, or was it like, hey, listen, okay, things are working out, let's do this?
Yeah, it was
help me out here.
Yeah, it was really very comfortable. It wasn't business-like. It was more like hanging out with a glass of wine. He'll tell you it was 3.
Sonia, I know you. Probably was.
All right.
Okay. He was probably being nice. It was probably 4.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that there's only 4 or 5 in a bottle.
Right,
so
yeah, no, yeah. It was super comfortable like that. And I was like, yeah, I ain't doing nothing. Okay, yeah, let's do it. And we've been married 20 years.
I know,
that crazy?
20 years.
Yeah.
I remember you calling me just a month or 2 ago, right?
Yeah. Well,
and you're like, Johnny, it's been 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So then at that point, you guys are working together.
Yep.
You guys are traveling together.
Yep.
You're doing all the right things.
Yeah.
You're almost 50.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Mm-hmm.
You guys got a house.
Mm-hmm.
And life is just precious.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just hanging out, living the literally living the dream.
Yeah.
You guys were just doing what people would only dream of.
Yeah.
And then things changed.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, let's see. Wow. Look, we had a business for 10 years that tanked, during the bad part, during the 2009 in era, excuse
Yeah.
me. And then we were fortunate enough to get jobs on Auto Show, which is how we met back in the day.
Right.
And we were traveling together and working together, having a really good time, playing on somebody else's dime. Because,
Yeah.
I'm like Julie, the cruise director. I'm like, okay, we going to Houston and we're going to get some barbecue and we're going to do that. And, so that's what we would do. And we had a really good time doing it.
Hang on. I got to stop you just for a second here. What was it like? I couldn't even imagine me traveling with my spouse. I am not married, but I can't even imagine living with somebody on the road and at home.
You know what? It was not bad.
Okay.
We had a good time.
Okay.
And,
Mark may not listen to this podcast, so it's okay. You can be honest with us.
No,
No,
honestly,
I know. I'm just teasing you.
I can be honest about you because trust me, I can say some things, some other things that aren't so flattering. But we had a really good time doing that, and it was just simply about loving our job, loving what we did, and being able to do it together. So one wasn't at home wishing they were with each other, because that absence makes the heart grow fonder thing. I don't believe in that.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Yeah. But we did. We had a really good time. And then one day my sister comes and picks us up at the airport because I had let her borrow my car. Her car was in the shop, and she used my car while she was gone. And, Mark gets in and she gets in the back and she's just talking to us. And she's talking about a baby that a cousin of ours had. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know she was pregnant. Okay, whatever. And so she's like, say hi to Yanni. And I went, there's a baby back there. And she had to be, 3 weeks old? I mean, she was brand new.
Oh, she was young then. I didn't realize that she was that young.
Yeah, she was brand spanking new. And my sister had her, and she was helping the mom, try to be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes those things just don't work out.
Right.
And so my sister had her for a while, and then our biological father took ill, and she had to care for him. So it ended up that from the time she was about 5 weeks old, we just were hands in. And at that time, we were still on the road, and then we'd come back and get her, and we'd have her until we go back on the road. And,
right.
That's
always perfect.
Yeah.
Spoil them and then give them back.
Exactly. That was my thing. I'm not spoilerati. But it became increasingly obvious that nobody was really able to step in and do that full time and give her the security that she needed.
Right.
And then we were on the road just talking about her and missing her and, wondering what she's doing. And just, it was miserable.
Love took over.
Yeah. And, our colleagues were like, if they talk about this baby one more time. I'm like, oh, did you see the baby? Did I show you that picture last week? Oh, okay. It's like being held captive when people have their vacation pictures. It
happened to me today at Tim Hortons. They're like, hey, my baby turned 7 today. I'm like,
right.
Okay, cool. Hey, happy birthday to your daughter. Oh, you want to see pictures?
Right.
Not really. I got to go. But okay, yeah, let me look.
Yes, I'm very guilty of that. I am very bad at it. But yeah, so we decided to get off the road, and it was like God really called us to do it.
Yeah.
And so the funny part was that it was Mark's decision and not mine. And he said, we really need to do this. And I was like, what? I'm auntie. What you talking about? He says, she really needs us. And I was like, well, yeah, but are you sure?
Yeah, you were comfortable. You were living the dream. I mean, you were traveling, you were working, you guys were making good money. Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was kind of like, all right, well, if we need to do this, we'll do it. And it has been the best decision I've ever made, regardless of the struggles to gain employment. Because when you're 50, you think you're, still young and viable and, employable. And other people are like, you old.
Right. That's funny. But yeah, and it has been an adjustment. I mean, she's upstairs right now while we're doing this podcast. And I made sure I sugared her all up. And that I bought
Uncle Johnny,
I bought like 12 donuts for her to take home. I made sure that she had all that because it's fun. So at that point, you're literally, you're in your 50s.
Yeah.
And now you have a 7-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out how to make money without traveling because she needs me. And what am I going to do? So enter Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy.
Yeah, yeah. So now, I mean, at that point, I love how you say that you're going through menopause, and then I don't know how you say that, but you're like, hey, listen, I got a kid, so it's like we're wanting to kill each other.
Oh my God! Let me tell you, there is something to be said about having children when you're young. Because those terrible twos and menopause do not mix. They do not mix. I'm telling you, because she's got her own way of doing things. She's very independent. Wonder where she learned that from.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking of that.
Mm-hmm. And, it was like, holy cow. And I'd have to tell myself, you are a grown-up. You cannot have temper tantrums. But man, I wanted to. And you talk about that, Sergeant Sonja had to figure out another way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite equipped for that.
Well, right.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally, you didn't just jump in and say, hey, okay, I'm going to be mom. I mean, you jumped into the school part of it. I mean, you're like literally the president of the PTO,
Vice president,
or vice president.
Yep.
I mean, you are like putting on walks and this and that. I mean, you are that. I mean,
that's right.
You're not only a great speaker, but you're a great mom, a great wife. So one day, it was a couple of years ago, and I said, I'm like, you need to write all this stuff down. Do you remember that? I'll never forget this time. And I said, I was in the airport, and I said, you need to start writing this stuff down. I said, because you need to be an author. You need to write a book. And you're like, I'm not an author. I don't, Do you remember that? And you literally one paragraph at a time.
Yeah. And it was funny because I had written about my accident, and I sent it to a couple of publishers, and I didn't get any bites whatsoever. And I remember I said, well, I did write about my accident. And so I went back and I got that manuscript and I started reading it.
You sent it to me.
Yeah. And it was awful.
Yeah, but the story was great.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, you've been speaking for years and you're impacting people from those tragic stories.
Yeah, it's still amazing when people come up to me and, tell me how much it meant to them to share my story. And, I'm a hugger, so I'm hugging on everybody and I'm crying. And
it's amazing to me because we do a lot of speaking together and then we support one another when it comes to going to each other's events so we can videotape it or whatever. But I have a story that I tell and people always come up to me and they're like, is that story real? Or is that fictional because you want to motivate us? And I'm like, no, it's real. They say the same thing about your story.
Yeah.
And that's what's so heartwarming is I see people crying and you hugging on them.
Yep.
So now you're an author.
Yeah.
I mean, how exciting is the speaking business for you? And the reason why I asked that is I want to ask this. I know how much fun you have.
Yeah.
But do you remember the first time that you got booked for a gig?
Oh, I actually got paid for it?
No. Just the first time
booked for my first one?
It wasn't an audition. It was because now the speaking business is completely different than everything else, even though it's still like a little bit of acting, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You have to put it all together into a 20-minute presentation. And I want you to be honest about this story because I'll never forget. I call them training wheels. Some people call them a book that they read from because they're so nervous.
Yeah.
But do you remember the first time that you actually got up in front of? And I believe if I'm not mistaken, and I'm a guess here, I think it was a Rotary Club.
It was.
Okay, yeah, because I mean that's how I got my start is Optimist clubs and Rotary clubs. Anybody who would just give me a chicken dinner, you know what I mean?
Trust me, it was only because of you that I got these gigs because you introduced me to these Rotary clubs and the Optimist clubs, and they were like, if Johnny D says you're good, we're gonna have you in, and I was like, ruh-roh.
So, Sadia, do you remember, like to this day, do you remember the first time that you got up, or maybe not even got up? You got to the venue.
Oh yeah.
Were you nervous?
Man,
you better be honest with us.
Let me tell you, I was sweating my butt off. Okay, I was sweating my butt off, and it was the middle of winter.
Right.
And you talk about, okay, well, you've talked in front of people before. You're an actor. You can do this. And I'm like, but I ain't never talked about my stuff before.
Right.
It's like you are completely wide open and vulnerable. This is not a character. This is you.
It's you, and it's only you and a microphone.
Exactly.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. I mean, there is no backup man. Nope. There is it's you and a microphone, and you either better be funny, or you better be motivating, or you better be inspirational, but you better do something.
Yep, because when you see people falling asleep, you'd be like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
But it was wild. And at that time, I had my speech. I'm a binder lady. Anybody who knows me will tell you I got
still
binders
have pictures
for everything.
put away for that special moment one day because
you're back. So I got my little binder, and I've got my my speech in like 20-point font, so I can read it without my reading glasses, so I can look halfway decent, and I'm reading it. I was not confident in my ability to tell the story. I was reading it, and they were still very gracious and just amazingly complimentary. But I was like, phew, okay, I got through that. I didn't bomb too bad.
Well, the good thing is you're a great reader.
Yes.
Because of the fact of you can read the prompters and stuff like that. So you're used to that.
Yes. And I had some inflection and some delivery. So yes. But yeah, I had to read it. For like the first 3 talks I ever did, I read it verbatim.
Yeah.
And I would look up,
So then things change because when you get booked for your first gig that's paid, things change even again.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden you are a professional because you're getting paid. And I will never forget, it's still in my man cave outside above my garage door was my very first dollar and very first paycheck that I got. And it was like $220 or $250.
Yeah.
For like a 20-minute presentation.
Yeah.
And I literally stood outside the venue wanting to call on my cell phone and cancel. Because all of a sudden now I had spoken like 20 or 30 times for free. But all of a sudden now they're going to write me a check and things change. I'll never forget. I mean, I threw up. I mean, I did everything. I mean, I was a nervous wreck until it was all over. Do you remember the first time you actually got paid?
Oh,
and was it a little bit different?
Oh man, let me tell you, it was different because now you got to fake it to make it, okay? Because you're like, yes, I'm a professional. You don't know this is my first gig,
right? Yeah.
And so I'm in there and I'm waiting, for them to come and get me out of the lobby, and I'm like, I'm just taking deep breath exercises, and I'm like, you've got this. You know what you're doing. Everything is good. These are your stories. You can do it.
Yeah.
Just like John told me. And you remember I called you. I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm here. I'm ready, I think.
And I'll never forget. I said, go outside. Right now, you got 10 minutes. Go outside and tell them you'll be right back if someone's right there, and just go outside and breathe.
Yes, I did.
Don't let them see this.
I'm telling you, man, because I thought I was having an asthma attack. I did. I got dizzy. I was like, oh, crap. Yeah, it wouldn't be good if you fainted on your first gig. So I had to pull myself together.
Isn't that funny? Because it doesn't matter what people do for a living.
Nope.
All of a sudden, when you start getting paid for it, it's a different feeling.
It is.
And because at the end of the day, we are artists.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. What's one thing about you that people wouldn't know? And I say that because of this. Everybody thinks, and I'm giving you some time to think about this while I'm talking here. So I'm trying to do you a solid. But people often think that they know me. But one thing they don't know about me is I'm a very shy person. And you know this, I don't speak until I'm spoken to. I don't, but once I do, well then, I jump into character and I'm me, but I'm a very shy person and people don't realize that. I'm able to take the stage and be that person that people told me I would never be.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it for you that people wouldn't know about you?
I am very self-conscious.
Okay.
And people, they're like, oh, you're always so upbeat and you say good morning to everyone. And, you always look like you know what you're doing. And there's so many times when I beat myself up going, oh, you could have done that better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you could have done that better. And why didn't you think of that? And yeah, I am my worst critic and I beat myself up a lot because I want to be a perfectionist and I know there is no such thing as perfect.
So would you say then, giving advice to someone that's listening to right now, I know that me and you have plenty of those nights throughout the week. And I don't think there's a week that goes by that we don't communicate and tell each other or come up with ideas for different things or helping one another do things to go to that next level.
Yep.
Surround yourself with positive people that believe in you.
Yeah, it's so important.
Because people often say, oh, I have so many friends that totally have my back. And I'm like, no, they don't.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm sorry, but they don't.
Yep.
They want to see you get so far and that's it.
Yep.
And then as soon as you start doing better than them, they want to hold you back.
Absolutely. Or they want to suck the life out of you.
Or they want to suck the life out of you. And you know this.
Yes.
I mean, when I'm home, I don't have friends. I'm working all the time. And you know this. And after a couple glasses of wine or a couple beers, I get really creative.
Yeah. And, man, that's some of our best work, man.
Some of our best work is like, you're like, hey, dude, I have to go to bed. It is 1 o'clock in the morning right now. And I'm like, oh yeah, but you're like, okay, but it seems to work.
It does.
So would you say that that's the same thing as telling people to just surround yourself with positive people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I always go back to that Think and Grow Rich book by Napoleon Hill. And he talks about having a mastermind group and having people that really believe in you and support you and will help you in your endeavors as well as you helping them.
Well, that being said, I believe in you.
Yes,
I believe in your talk and in your presentation. I've seen it with my own eyes, my own ears of how you inspire others. For someone that's listening, and I can't believe that it's actually been going on 50 minutes right now, but I have yet to talk about how somebody can get a hold of you.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that you say it and spell it because sometimes I even still sometimes spell Sonja wrong. And then I get some other Sonja Crosby that's out there.
Yeah, there is another Sonja Crosby out there. Well, my website is, of course, www.sonjacrosbyspeaker.com. That's SonjaCrosbyspeaker.com.
One more time.
SonjaCrosbyspeaker.com. I'm not spelling it again.
No,
John.
no. That's perfect. They can go by and ask. Do you have a memorable moment? As both of us being speakers, I have like one or two memories of somebody coming up to me saying, "Hey, you know what? You really motivated me. You really inspired me. There's just something about what you said that changed my life."
Yeah.
Do you remember, or do you have that one right now that you can share with us?
Yeah. Well, it's not so much changing their life, but just letting them know that they can do it too.
Yeah.
If I can publish a book, if I can write a book, and you have something to say, then write the book.
Yeah. Amen. I mean, it has to start somewhere.
Exactly.
I mean, Sonja, and not to interrupt this, but you are right, because I think that we're on our third edition of your book because and I told you that you have to walk before you can run.
Yes.
You have to take a step before you can walk.
Yes.
So write the flipping book.
Exactly.
Write it.
Yep.
I don't care how bad it is. I don't care how much is misspelled.
Yep.
Write the book.
Exactly.
And you're like, but I said, write the book.
I know. You were so funny too, because I was so self-conscious and it was really ripping myself open wide to write this book. And I figured, well, I've done all this healing. Why am I going to go back there? And I'm telling you, when I wrote this book, I cried over this book. I would write 3 pages and then I can't take another.
Yeah, and
I
that's
can't
fine.
take another day. But I continue to do it. And you
yeah.
you would call me. What you doing? Did you write today? Not today, but I wrote 3 pages yesterday. Yeah, I know. You told me that. So you're going to write tomorrow? Yes, I'm going to write tomorrow. He said, don't make me call you. You didn't write.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that kind of motivation and that kind of support that just says, hey, come on, you can do this. This is what you do.
Even your book has your cover has changed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, again, you have to start with something.
Yes.
And that's why I said, I go, Sonja, this will probably change.
Yes.
But you got to have something.
Yes. And I had no money. I mean, you talk about.
I remember when you came up with that excuse.
Mm-hmm.
I was in another airport and I said, listen, here's my credit card number.
You did too.
Here's $225. Get the stuff done.
Yep. You sure did.
I'm like, I don't care. I go, do whatever needs to, order 20 books and be done with it. Now you don't have an excuse. Get back to work.
I know. And my jaw dropped to the floor.
So getting back to that story, and I'm sorry I kind of went off, but it's so true that people don't realize that you have to start somewhere.
You do.
You have to just make that mindset of saying, you know what, okay, today's the day, or today, right now's, I'm going to change my life.
Yep.
I'm going to change what's going on right now.
Yep.
Because it's a minute, and then 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and then 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So getting
Well,
back to,
and
was it a woman? Was it
was
a
woman? Yeah,
Really?
she was so sweet, and she said to me, I've been wanting to write a book, and I don't even know where to begin, and I have a story too. And I said, well, tell a story. And she says, well, I don't even know where to start. Start where you start.
Yeah.
If you start in the middle, then you go back and you start, you go back to the beginning, or you do the end. It doesn't matter where you start. You just started.
Yeah.
And then the ideas will spark and you'll continue to write. And I haven't heard from her in a bit. I think I'm going to check in with her very soon. But just, I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You type it. Somebody else will edit it for you. Somebody else will read it for you and proofread it and say, yeah, that didn't make much sense. Tell me what you meant to say in that sentence.
Yeah.
And we have to have that. I mean, you edited my book for me.
Yeah.
And then
you did
I turned
mine.
around and edited your book for you. Yeah. Because it's like, yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense. But tell me what you meant to say and we'll fix it. And
and sometimes
there it
it's
is.
literally one word that changes that one thought.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I would just say, if you got something to say it. If you got something to write it.
Yeah.
Don't just say, oh, I've been thinking about such and such. I know I have a couple of friends. Yeah, I'm writing a book. How long you been at that?
Yeah. Amen.
Oh, about 12 years. It takes you 12 years to write a book.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So
Somebody's lying.
Right, yeah. And it's this and it's that and it's this. I'm like, you know what, dude? Well, I won't use the language that I usually use, but I say, you got to poop or get off the pot, man.
Right.
You got to do
You
it.
have to start somewhere.
Yes. And like you said, I mean, my first book cover was horrible. Yeah. I didn't like my first book cover, but
you had a book cover.
Yes. And I had the story and it was getting out.
Yeah.
And people were being affected by it. People were, just really touched by what I was.
How can they find your book and what's the name of it?
Well, it's called A Heart's Whole Heals, and the subtitle is A Journey of Positive Perseverance. And
where can we find it?
It's on a Book Patch. Book Patch is a self-publishing website, which is amazing. And you can also go to my website. It has a link to
SonjaCrosbySpeaker.com.
That's right. I just love you. So good for me. Yeah. But yeah, you can go there. But now, I got a new cover. I'm really pleased with it. I re-edited it. There's some pictures in it now. And, who knows? I might do something else with it later. But it could be, I'll have a sequel to it. Who knows?
That's right.
But again, it's that start. It's getting out there and just taking the chance.
What kind of organizations and companies do you work with?
Man, I love all of them. Yeah, but I especially love younger people. I love colleges. I love high schools because the tools that you use in really using the power of positive perseverance, they really help when you're younger, allowing you to really understand that, yes, you are always going to have challenges and you have to change the way you see those challenges in order to deal with them.
Yeah.
But it helps everywhere. I mean, people go through change every single day. It doesn't matter how old or young you are. But I love babies. I love talking to kids because they're not to be cliche, but they are our future, you know,
Yeah.
and I really want to be able to affect change for them so that they can be positive about what they need to do in their lives and be honest about it. Because honesty is man.
You just said it. Just be honest with yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like so many people these days, they're not just honest with themselves.
Yep.
You know, they're all worried about how many followers and likes and this and that. And it's like, you know, people joke around with me all the time. I'll walk by a mirror or a reflection and I'll blow myself a kiss or something. And people will be like, you are so stuck up. I said, no, I said, that may be the only positive person I talk to all day long.
No, that's right.
And they look at me and they're like, and I look at them like, you might be the negative one I'm talking about.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Because there's nothing wrong with looking in the mirror and telling yourself that you love yourself.
Absolutely.
Because you have to love that person before you can go out there and do anything else in life.
You got that right. You can't be in a relationship without it.
Amen.
There is nobody that's going to complete you. There is nobody that is going to love you more than you love yourself. You have to put yourself first. And I know people go, well, you put God first. Yeah. Well, guess what? God gave you sense enough
right
to love yourself, and you love God, you know, with that, in conjunction with that. And then you can go and spread love, you know, in the world. You can get a spouse, you can have children, whatever.
They always say you have to change yourself first, then your family, then your city, then your state, and then the country, and then the world.
Yep. Small drop of water.
And when I realized that, that's when things, you know, happened for me. It's like, hey, listen, I got to change me first. You know, I can't listen to all the people that told me I couldn't do it.
Right. And don't go blaming somebody else for all your troubles.
Heck no. You know, because we can blame all day long, and we can find excuses all day long.
Absolutely.
So those of you that are listening, look Sonja up on SonjaCrosbySpeaker.com. She is an amazing speaker.
So
and I mean
sweet.
that coming from the bottom of my heart. Your story is amazing.
Thank you.
I'm looking at my notes going, I didn't even touch half of this. and we're going literally on an hour right now. So you say that if you have something to say it.
Yes.
I know that you end every one of your presentations with what I think is just an amazing poem. I don't even know if you would call it a poem or a rant. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, it's kind of
an
a
ending.
slam poem. That's what we call it.
A slam? Okay, well, see, I don't even, but it's spoken word, and I'm going to end this podcast, Sonja, with, if you don't mind, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I know you know it by heart, so go ahead and end it with the poem, the slam. Okay. What's the title?
It's The Power of Positive Perseverance.
Okay.
That's what we call it.
This is Sonja Crosby, the motivational speaker. Go ahead, girl. Take it away.
The bitter taste of tears from the pain of losing my love, losing my life, remind me that I am not dead, that I have life still left to live, although no clue of what or how I will do this. The prayers, no, the screams to the heavens seem to fall on deaf ears as my heart breaks into a million pieces, just like my body. I wake up every day, though not knowing why, but I wake up to see angels in body and spirit surrounding me to comfort my rage, my pain, my emptiness. I feel the power of love lift me higher than higher still, as if the light of 1,000 suns draws me in. I feel love. I feel the pain fall away little by little. I feel the light of the sun on my face bringing me joy I thought I'd lost forever. I have positively persevered. Through the storm, through the night, I have indeed become the light. To see simple things, the shades of green in nature, enjoy the laughter of a child. I have chosen to live life grand, to always lend a helping hand, to be the change I want to be. Choose love, choose life, be free. Thank you.
That's Sonja Crosby. This is Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy. Sonja, you gave me goosebumps. I got a tear in my eye, and you do it to me every single time. Again, this is Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy. You're listening to Outstanding Life Podcast. Don't forget to tune in next time. I don't know who I'm going to have next, but this one is really, really exciting for me because I had my friend Sonja Crosby here. And again, check her out at sonjacrosbyspeaker.com. As I always say, be safe, have fun, and have yourselves an outstanding day. Thank you for listening.
Outstanding Life is a Soul Bridge Studio production.